You are what I'm looking for. I know what I'm looking
for. Okay, my paper hoarding friends, buckle up and get ready for this one. Today's video is a Chop It Up inspired project, sharing, of course, 12 by 12 paper pads from Michaels. I was shopping the other day, minding my own business, and of course, there's a sign, buy one, get one free. I cannot, for the life of me, turn down a sale of buy one, get one free. I do not need another paper pad, much less 4 paper pads. But I couldn't resist, of course. Beautiful patterns, these gorgeous books. Couldn't help myself, so I picked up 4 books of some patterns that I don't have, and I thought, you know what, I better get my life together and make some projects using some paper pads. So I have what's going to be a 3-part video for you. I'm going to create an entire note card gift set with a box and envelopes and cards out of nothing but pattern paper. I know that you're going to love this. You're really going to enjoy this simple process to make this and the extra special results. So I've split this up into 3 videos so that you're not here for like an hour each time. So they're going to be 3 quick short videos sharing 3 different aspects of this project to pull it all together to make one beautiful note card set. And I just wanted to show you some of these beautiful paper pads because I know if you're anything like me, you want to know what the newest paper pads are at Michaels. Whether we need them or not, we just want to see what they have. So as I mentioned, we're going to be making a complete note card set, and this will be a 3-part mini series. And for this particular video, I'm going to be using the Oxford pattern paper pad, my newest buy from Michaels, and I'm also going to be using 2 of my template reference books. We're going to need the Paper Engineering and also a book about boxes and bags. And this is how we're going to create all of the different elements for our note card set. So first, let's take a peek at the Paper Engineering template book. If you've never seen my template books before, I'll leave some links to a few different videos sharing more in depth about these books. You'll find it in the description box down below. So for the Paper Engineering, this book consists of pocket cards and of baronial style envelopes. It also has a little folder where I have made samples of my envelopes and I store them in the little pocket here. So this kind of separates the 2 sections of the book. So these are the pocket cards. And then on the other side, we have baronial style envelopes, which is just a fancy word for like a triangle flap envelope. For today's video, I'm going to be making a 4-inch squared project. So now I want to go to my book about boxes and bags. And in here, there is a template to create a 4-inch squared gift box that will coordinate with my envelopes and cards. So I'm just going to flip through the page that I need with my 4-inch squared box, and all of the page sizes, scoring, and measurements and things that we'll need to create each of these are noted in the templates. So let's dive in to part 1 of our 3-part mini series, creating the box. Okay, so we're working in the book about boxes and bags. We're going to create a box that will fit 4-inch squared envelopes and note cards. Let's dive into this paper pad, and this is actually called the Oxford Garden. I think I may have called it something else earlier. So I'm just flipping through, trying to decide what I want to use to create my box. And of course, I'm creating with purple. I'm always drawn to purple. It's my favorite color. So I'm going to grab 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock, and in my template on the first page it tells me that I need 1 piece that measures 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I'm going to go ahead and cut down my first page, and I'm going to keep all the scraps off to the side because we're going to use those later. And then I'll take the second page and I'm going to cut this down just 1/8 of an inch smaller than 6 3/4. I think this becomes like 6 5/8. Okay, so I'm going to make that same cut, just 1/8 of an inch less than 6 3/4. So again, 6 5/8, I think. If I'm wrong, please correct me. So basically, we just want one piece that's just slightly smaller than the other piece, because one piece is going to be the bottom and one piece is going to be the lid. So the lid will need to be just slightly bigger so it can fit over top of the bottom of the box. So the first page, 6 3/4, we're going to put this in a scoreboard and we're going to score at 1 inch on all 4 sides. Okay, so I'm just scoring 1 inch, turn, score 1 inch, turn, score 1 inch, and one more time, score at 1 inch. And now we're going to take a look at the template, and I've sort of labeled the little corners A and the middle flap B. So we're going to make some cuts here to separate those little corners to create little flaps to glue together. So I'm going to cut up the little score mark, and I like to make a little bit of an angle. Now you want to keep this middle piece, the section B, you want to keep that nice and straight. And then you can come in and make an angle cut on that little tiny tab there, because this is going to be tucked underneath and you're not going to see it. So that's where I like to make those little mitered corners. So keeping that little center nice and straight. So again, I'm going to flip it over to the other side and following that score mark, and then angling my scissors on that little flap there to create a little mitered corner. Same thing, the last cut we're going to make here. Okay, and I also like to come back in and sort of cut little angles on all of the tabs on the outside, just so that nothing ends up sticking out of the bottom of the box when everything's glued together. I just like to angle cut those little tabs, and then we have a nice clean box. So once that's done, I'm going to glue all of those little A flaps onto the inside of the B flap. Okay, so here are our 4 A flaps, and we're just going to glue them in behind those B flaps. So I'll grab my bone folder and crease all of the folds. So making sure that everything is nice and straight and I get nice sharp creases. I'll crease all the way around my box, and then I'm going to bend those little tabs in. And this is where I'm going to apply my adhesive to glue onto the underside of that flap there, just like this. Okay, so I like to use liquid glue here. It gives me a chance to sort of wiggle everything into place to make sure that I get nice 90-degree angles when adhering the little flaps in. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to hold that little flap in place until my glue catches, making sure everything is nice and straight and looks good, and then move on to the next flap. And I like to take my time here. I'm not worried about my glue drying right away. I actually don't mind the glue setting for a little second on the paper, because then it becomes a little tacky and will grab onto the cardstock quicker. Okay, so there we go. Top of our box is complete, and everything is lined up nice and even, nice and clean. Let's go work on the bottom of the box. So now I have the piece that's 6 5/8. And I'm going to do the same thing, same process as previous, scoring at 1 inch, cutting the little A flaps like we had done, and adhering everything together. The process is the exact same. The only difference is that these two pieces will fit inside of each other. Perfect fit. There we go. Our box is complete. So I like to take a little circle punch and create little finger notches. Because this is a square box, I like to do it on all 4 sides. Everything is symmetrical and even, and then it doesn't matter which way the box goes on. Okay, so I'm just punching all 4 sides there. Now we have a little finger grabbing spot, so that when everything is full and the box is tight, you'll be able to grab the sides and pull it away with ease. Okay, so the next thing I like to do is take some of those scraps and just cut a piece that will fit inside the box. So I just want to cover up some of that white space. So I end up cutting 2 pieces that are about 4 3/4. One is obviously just a little bit smaller, and I think you just have to test this one. Like, however big your box ends up being, maybe you have thicker score marks or whatever. So just test it out. Use the scraps to fit a little piece on the inside of the box. And I use a tape runner to adhere this down, because I don't want any sort of gobs of glue showing through the top of my box. So I'm using the tape runner. I'll apply those 2 pieces on the inside, and stick those pieces down into the lid of the box and the bottom of the box. And then we just have a little stepped up look. You don't have to do this. I just feel like it adds a little bit more sturdiness to the box, and it's an extra pretty look. Okay, so that's it for the first part of our project. Now I will come back and do a little bit more decorating to this box as we get going and get the rest of the project underway. So I'm going to stop this video here. Keep an eye out for part 2 of this project to see how we're going to make the beautiful coordinating envelopes. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me and putting up with my extra nasally voice. I'm still fighting a head cold. I'm working on it, doing the best I can, but I still can't help but create. It's just what I love to do. So thanks again for joining me. Have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!